So you want to make some money, do you? Well, I've stumbled across an avenue in which to do that I never would have thought possible. And I'm here to share that with you right now. And I'm glad you stopped by. Making money online or in any other fashion other than a traditional job is very pleasing. It's very satisfying because you work for yourself basically. I mean, I make my rent, I make my mortgage, I make my light bill and cable bill and auto payments, but I didn't have much left over after that. You know, and it's funny the way things go with that. You can make $50,000 a year or $150,000 a year, and a lot of Americans seem to live right at that point, right at the precipice, you know, where they don't have 6 months worth of cash, you know, saved up. But what I'm talking about here is making money other than that. It's a non-traditional way, and it's called remote viewing. Now, remote viewing has been a part of humankind since we started walking on this earth. It's just been gone by different names, and not so precise as it is now. There may have been some in the past that really were, like Nostradamus. He probably used some sort of his own self-protocol that allowed him to travel in the ethereal plane, a non-local perception of ideas and drawings and quatrains, I believe they call them. Now, they weren't 100%, but he did use something, and I believe Leonardo da Vinci, with some of his drawings, Einstein, maybe Robert Oppenheimer, and perhaps even Nikola Tesla, used some method of gaining information that that took us huge leaps and bounds forward with technology than their current day status at that point. And so I believe they used their own kind or had some way of tapping into that. In the 70s, a natural psychic named Ingo Swann created a protocol for the fellows over at Stanford Research to train anybody how to bring it out within them by following these set of rules, protocols if you will, to allow anyone, and that means you too, to perceive things non-locally, whether it's on the other side of the world, right down the street, a year ago, 10 years ago, 1,000 years ago, or far off into the future, and even off planet. One of the things though about remote viewing is it does rely heavily on feedback and accurate feedback, so you can get your bearings. And off planet remote viewing you may not be accurate because there's no way of really telling yet. We're getting there though. My name is John Creel, and my life has been an odyssey since 2012, when I first started learning about remote viewing. If you haven't heard about it, remote viewing was created, like I said, by Ingo Swann and Stanford Research Institute, which then turned it over to the CIA or the military first. I don't know which one was first, the chicken or the egg. However, they're both government agencies, and where they took ordinary soldiers and, you know, took them to Fort Meade, Maryland. I'm sure people have heard this who were in remote viewing. Please disregard. I mean, please try to stay awake. And but for those of you who have not, who've come in here and know nothing of remote viewing, that's where it began, Fort Meade, Maryland, where this set of protocols were created. People would follow them, and they were used as psychic spies for psychic espionage. So, and some of the best viewers in the world now are still the military guys from that time and point in our history here in the United States, and have been very successful. They have their own trainings. When it was first declassified in '95, I think it was on Nightline with Ted Koppel, I'm not really sure, because I wasn't paying attention then, and you know, everybody wanted to jump on that and find out what this psychic spying was all about, and so they laid it out. They declassified it, laid it out, and then it took off. At that time, though, some of my friends, like one of my mentors, said it was really expensive, you know, and I guess that's the nature of capitalism, supply and demand. And they were just doing what I would do. And but now, I guess it's 20 years later, when I got involved online. I just ran across some YouTube videos. You know, you could be watching a video on how to talk to a giraffe, and then watching American Idol reruns, and then next thing you know, oh, remote viewing, what's this? So that's the nature of this. Just information that catches your attention at that time, and I think that's what happened to me. And then I bought a couple of books, read them, really got fascinated, and then there were some free videos online on YouTube by a woman named Prudence Calabrese. Hope I'm saying that name right. And she had like someone had uploaded a whole bunch of videos. I think it was like 8 videos. It was really, really long. It was a lot of hours, over an hour per video. So it was an intensive thing. So I started just jumping in the water and going off on my own, and just by reading stuff and not having anybody to help me. And that was around 2012. I just messed around with it a little bit. Didn't really take it seriously. At first I did. I was really curious. And then one day something happened that happens within, if you do remote viewing long enough, for those of you who don't know anything about it, you're probably going to have a bilocation event, as being in two places at once. And something happened to me. I forgot to end a session, and my bed was right next to me, so I just laid down. As soon as I closed my eyes, I was launched into a room, and I had a bad experience. So, but that's because I didn't seek out some of the guys that, you know, from that. Like one of my favorite guys is Lynn Buchanan, very awesome, and David Morehouse. I follow him all the time, and there's a few others that escape me at the moment. But Prudence Calabrese, I really understood. She spoke my language. It's like she was talking to me when I watched her videos, though. And by the time I wanted to pull the trigger on getting formal lessons, I couldn't find her. She kind of just fell away from the earth. She changed her name, I think, and I was really bummed out about that, because I wanted to seek her out and take lessons from her. Then I was talking to this other guy who I really like. He's another figure. If this is for people who don't really know what remote viewing is, you know, this is that point where it's explained. And by the name of Daz Smith, and I asked him if he knew how to get a hold of her, and he said no, but I do know one of her partners named John Vivanco, Vivanco. Search him out, and so I did, and I went to one of his trainings at ECETI in Washington, Trout Lake, Washington. And man, my world has never been the same since then. So I encourage at some point, if you want to find some of the guys who were firsthand, go check it out. But I'm going to give it to you here for free. I'm not going to charge you anything. So it might be a different version, but it's a version that works for me. And so, you know, one of the things I can tell you is that it's, you know, there are questions that people have about it, nuances that weren't answered in those videos from Prudence, little nuances that I needed to go get trained formally to get. Now, what we're going to be talking about, what we're going to be doing here, if you continue on now with me, you'll find that you, like me, will see that there's a whole lot to be said when you can pick the first place winner in a horse race, like at Santa Anita Aqueduct, Louisiana Downs. When you can pick the first place winner of the horse 14 times in a row and know nothing of thoroughbred horses, other than it's a better medium than the lottery to earn money. The amount of money that I've won on betting on horses without ever going to a racetrack is with my phone app. Oh yeah, put $50 on that one. That one's gonna win. I know this because I looked into the future. And I won. Man, I was happy. You have no idea. And then now the more you do it, the better you get. That's the key point here with that. I know remote viewing hasn't been fully explained to you, but I can tell you that if you just log into the app and just take the lessons and do it for a few days, for at least 30 days, you will be good enough, maybe even sooner, because some of you will be naturals at it. You will make money You know, I know for some of you in here that are remote viewers and more new agers, I know some of them, like some of the groups that I belong to, believe you shouldn't use it to make money, but you know, if this is what this is about, you know, sorry, it's not a higher level of reasoning behind it, but I can tell you this: if it doesn't have any altruism in it, then do something altruistic with your part of it. You know, I'm not talking about, oh, we're going to shoot for the moon and make $1 million. What I am saying is that, you know, I pay my mortgage, I pay my cable bill, I pay my light bill, I pay my car payment, and everything extra, my pay that I get from my job is gravy. It's all gravy. So, you know, if you want more than that, go for it. But we're looking for stuff like that, to where you can, you know, how would it be if you have a $1,500 or $1,100 mortgage, which is about the average, right? $1,700 maybe, mortgage payment. What would you be able to do if you didn't have to make that payment? All you had to do is get up in the morning for 30 minutes, block out some of your morning or some of your afternoon or some of your evening when you get home. Do a little 30-minute session. Pick the winner of a horse. At the end of the month, you know, you've got that made plus. Do something with it. Give it to the Shriners Hospital. You know, give it to women's shelters. Find a reason. You know, so, or give it to those turtles out there in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, killing themselves with straws. But okay, so how this is done is, like I said, through a set of protocol. You know, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, bam, oh wow, look at that. You know, it's basically how it happens, for me. You know, and this is not something that is magical. I mean, it's magical in the sense that we all have that ability. It's just no one told us we had that ability. We all thought it was hokey pokey from the movies, you know. It's not. It really isn't. Like I said, you know, probably Isaac Newton thought of the, you know, with the apple hitting him on the head, it triggered something in him to be able to find the answer to, you know, gravity. And there was a character back in the 80s named Jimmy the Greek. Now this guy was famous for being, oh, I can pick the winners on this and that and the other. And, you know, perhaps there's some of that was within him. I don't know if he's still alive or not, but I don't even know why I thought of his name, just flashed across my head. But I can tell you this, you can make money in Vegas by, you know, picking A team or B team to win whatever sport they're playing. And I've done that a few times. My favorite ones really are the horses, because the way I do my RV session via John Vivanco and his partner Prudence, although she's wasn't a part of the training because apparently she doesn't want anything to do with whatever anymore. I don't really know her story. All I just know is I really wish I could have learned from her as well. And hey John, it's good to see you, buddy. It is non-traditional, like I said, and how is via the app. And all you gotta do is download this app and just follow along. Pick up a pen, pick up a blank piece of paper, just go to town. You know, you start off with a protocol. You start off with, a numerical identifier that pinpoints the thing in space and time that you're looking to view. And that's all you have to do, just go from there. Keep an open mind. Keep an open mind. You know, there's that saying, and I'm sure we've all heard it, is if a tree fell in the woods and no one was around to hear it, did the tree make a noise? Did it make a sound? Of course, if you've thought this through, you know the tree did not make a sound. It never did. The reason being is because all it did was create a vibration. And your inner ear and the little hairs and fibers in there and your inner ear and your eardrum translate that vibration. It takes it through neural synapses and creates a neural pathway, as I'm translating for, in your ear, and you record it and kind of put it in a little database, Rolodex in your mind. Rolodex, that's probably going to be something new for you younger guys. But in a Rolodex in your mind so that you can recall it. Oh, that sound, that particular vibration is the sound of a tree falling in the woods. The sound of a whale, the sound of a hot rod car, the sound of a Harley motorcycle, the sound of a crying baby. They're not making sounds, they're just creating vibration. So the answer to that first part of that puzzle was, there's no sound. Whether someone was there or not, it doesn't make a sound. So the reason why I'm telling you that is because when you go through a session, what the ethereal plane or your subconscious mind, picks up on a signal line in remote viewing triggers some of those neural markings, the neural pathway of the sound of a crying baby, or the feel of a cactus, or an ant biting you, or a mosquito biting you, or the look of something white, the sensory kinesthetic information of something that's hot, that's cold. So what happens is that gets fired. You don't have to be there, and you don't have to see with your eyes, with your physical eyes. You just see in that other place, and your neurosynapses get fired. Your neural pathways get triggered for whatever those things. You just recording the data, just whatever pops into your head real quick. Okay, yeah, that sounds like a roaring fire, the crackle of the wood, the smell of the smoke. You smell it? I can. Yeah. The look of s'mores being melted. That's what you're picking up. And good times. And so when you remote view a horse race, and you already have your metaphor there that you've drawn out. Oh, okay, that looks like Sita's kid. All right. And all right. Oh, and then you go look at the program and say, okay, here's my choices of horses, and it matches this diagram that I drew. Wow. Okay. Metaphorically speaking, a metaphoric drawing for the name of a horse. And next thing you'll know, you'll be hitting 14, 15 in a row, maybe more. So this is something that you should really take a look at. I'm glad you joined me today. I'm glad you went through this, because if you go ahead and get this app, I promise we will make money together. How much is going to depend on how hard you take it seriously and how much you practice. And the practice is important, especially with the ideogram drills. The ideogram is just a way of tapping into the signal line. It's just doodling on paper. I'll explain that some other time. But that's where it starts off and jumps off at, and then it ends up with the mosaic that you've drawn, the name of a horse, in this next race, tomorrow or next week or whatever, or the Derby. And if you put some money on it, $5, $10, $15, you'll see. You don't have to put a lot of money in. You'll see, wow, okay, I just made $60 on a $5 bet. Let me do a couple more of these. You can do 3, 4, 5 a day sessions. Once you've gone past 30 days, you can handle it. And so you'll be making that money that I was telling you about. I'm glad you listened. I'm glad you stayed with me. All you got to do is download this app. My name is John Creel. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Oh, one more thing. Practice doesn't make perfect, right? We've all heard that. Because perfect practice makes perfect. And so once you perfectly practice your ideogram drills and the protocols, you will get the answer you're looking for. And we'll make money.